welcome back
Okay.
to From Book to Business. And I'm Dr. Trina Boice, an author coach. And today I have another type of a business coach who's also an author. Her name is Dr. Lorette Pruden. Welcome, Lorette.
Welcome, Trina. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. I'm so excited for my audience to meet you. This is a pretty remarkable woman because she has reinvented herself several times over, started off as a chemical engineer and had a great career in the corporate world for many years, but now you are a business coach. So tell us about that transition.
Well, you meet the challenges that come in front of you. So I did work as a research scientist and engineer for a big oil company for many years, and then one of them bought the other one, and we all found ourselves out of a job. We're not the only ones. People are happens a lot. The skills I did take with me, though, it's hard to be to be a sole proprietor business owner as a chemical engineer. You need way too much infrastructure and stuff. So, but I took stock of my skills and I realized that what I really liked now after I was a little older was I liked working with people. And I had been doing some coaching and learned some team skills, coaching and executive coaching. I was doing some of that while I was still at my other company. And I thought, well, I'll do that. And as anybody who's come out of corporate America and started a new business knows, it's not quite as easy as that. People say, oh, just get your first job and then everybody will refer you and it'll be fine and it'll just roll on after that. Well, that's not how it works. At least I've never met anybody that it worked for like that.
And to that
Nevertheless, I
point,
persisted.
you wrote a book about that, about how to transition from the corporate world to
I did.
self-entrepreneur.
I
Yeah.
did. Partway through the journey, I realized that a lot of the people that were coming to me, they were small business owners. They were Main Street business owners. Maybe they bought a franchise, sometimes service professionals, sometimes creatives. But many of them had a background similar to mine. They had worked really hard and really well for some big corporation, and then somehow or another, they weren't working there anymore. And the transition from executing somebody else's strategy with somebody else's money to creating and executing your own strategy with money that you have to earn or beg, borrow, or steal or whatever, that is a big step. So my book, formerly Corporate, has a subtitle that's Mindset Shifts for Your Success in Your Own Business. And they are many, and some of them are really big. We talk about sometimes the business of coaching is sometimes business coaching and sometimes life coaching and sometimes in between, always a little bit of some of both. And those mindset shifts can really rock people because, depending on how long you've been out, so to speak, your confidence has been shaken. You can't figure out what you did wrong because the answer is you didn't do anything wrong. And once you shake that off a little bit, then you have the what next problem in front of you. And I love to work with those people because they're really smart, sharp, competent, lots of skills, lots of transferable skills, even though they might not realize it right away. And helping people realize how they can do that, and then actually sort of either leading them gently or nipping at their heels or whatever coaching methodology they respond to best. I love to do that.
You mentioned something that people are experiencing right now if they've either lost their job which people are experiencing now, or they've chosen to leave the corporate world and create their own business. You also told me before we started rolling the camera that you helped a lot of businesses, small businesses, weather the storm of the last recession. So, what is your advice for people that currently have a small business and they're really worried about what's happening economically in today's climate? So, what tips or advice would you offer them?
Well, I'm going to divide this into two because there are people that have brick and mortar businesses that rely on customers walking through the door. And that's very difficult right now. You can sell food. I'm in New Jersey, so just this week, just yesterday, the governor opened up for retail businesses to do at the curb handovers, right? But that's not the same as people browsing in your store and saying, "Oh, that's cute. Let me get that." That's very difficult, and people are being incredibly creative with how they're doing it. I have a client who has a custom bakery. She didn't have a retail walk-in shop, but she had just landed a big contract with this big local sporting venue, and they're shut down. Can't go there, right? No birthday parties at the ballpark. So she's delivering locally, and it's not her ideal situation, but she's still alive, and people are loving her Saturday morning scones delivered to the door. So that's one way that people are adapting, because you have to adapt. Even in the best of times, things happen. Competition shows up, somebody new and is playing in your neighborhood or something like that. For the service people who can, well, for people like me and you who can work from home, it's a little bit of a different challenge because we still have to find people to work with, right? The, the gift I'm going to talk about a little bit later, a lot of that has to do with finding prospects in this time where you have to stay home. Because I ran around a lot, right? I went to morning networking meetings and evening networking meetings, and for a long time, I held my own lunchtime networking meeting weekly. That was that was a lot. But I did that through the last recession, and people would come to that, and it helped to make a lot of connections, and it works. But now we have to figure out other ways to do it. So that's been my focus with my clients right now. I've learned over the years that it takes a while to make a big difference in what you're doing yourself in your business and see how it shows up. But it seemed like lately nobody could see 6 months out, much less a year out, even thinking about that. So I'm running a couple shorter programs that are really focused on where do you find your people in this new age. So that's a couple stories about adapting to the situation that you find in front of you. We'll see how it turns out. Worked out all right the last time.
Well, you mentioned you have a free gift for my viewers, so thank you. Tell us a little bit more about that because I think it's going to be really helpful. And I'm going to write up above the URL where you can go and grab that gift. So tell us a little bit more about that.
I've decided to call this whole new thing we're in right now, we need a rev your revenue kind of an approach to it. So at revyourrevenue.com, you'll be able to register for some helpful hints, which I'll tell you about a little bit more about in a minute, and a gift card that I'm going to raffle off. So it's not just, give me your email and I'll see you later. The gift is really some of my experience about ways to be in action every day to build your business on the marketing side, the revenue generating side of things. One of the very first coach I ever interacted with, she said, well, if I just give you one tip, it's do something about your marketing every day, which is what you and I are doing right here. Something about it, both of our marketing every day right now. So there's lots of things that you can do, and a lot of them are not hard, but it's the willingness to do them that people often stumble about. So I hope it's a little bit of an entertaining list. I hope it'll maybe reinforce things you should be doing and give you a few ideas that you hadn't thought about. And I hope you win the gift card.
Well, thank you for that. That's awesome. So you mentioned marketing. I think a lot of times in a tricky economy, that's one of the very first things that small businesses pull back on because they think, oh, I don't want to spend the revenue. Um, and of course, as marketers, we believe that marketing is absolutely important and you need to keep revving it up even more. But in addition to marketing, what do you think is one of the best investments a small business owner can make in today's climate?
Relationships. If you invest in your relationships, only good things can happen. And I don't mean the people that you're living with locked up in the current, right? But one of the things I've been doing lately is I've been calling some former clients. I've been sure to call my current clients, although usually we have appointments and I don't usually call them in between, but lately I've been doing that. I sent all my current clients a box of cookies from that baker I was telling you about before. And that was a big hit, except for the guy whose box got delivered to his neighbor, and he finally found them, and they were still edible. So anyway, but those are all great conversations to have, right? Whatever happened to that? I never heard about that. Oh, that must be still over at my neighbor's. He told me. So I've had just phenomenal conversations with people that I've met already through other networking things or people that I meet on some online networking things. And Zoom is a wonderful tool. I'm so grateful that we have it, but sometimes just picking up the phone, sitting on the couch with a cup of tea and the phone and talking to somebody that you are really interested in is the best kind of marketing you can do. And I've gotten, one woman is a photographer. She gave me tips about how to set up my Zoom thing so I looked better. So this is how far I've gotten with that. Another person called me and asked me for my advice about an idea that she had. She's an old long-term client of mine. I started with her when she was just a startup before the last recession, and it's years later, and she still turns up every once in a while. That's very gratifying. So just talking to people, building those relationships. Maybe there's an opportunity for them to work with us, right now. Maybe not. Maybe they know somebody who does. Don't forget to ask, remember to ask for the sale, even if you're not selling to that person. I'm starting a new group next month, and it's going to be focused on this new thing. And do you know anybody that might be interested? I'd love to just talk to them and tell them about it a little bit. And that keeps that ball rolling and really strengthens those relationships.
I agree. We live in a relationship economy that getting on the phone and talking with people, just letting them know what you do, that you're available is huge. I have a business coach and she says you need to make 50 phone calls a day. That's a lot of phone calls. Most people kind of have forgotten the art of the phone call. And so it's still something that works today, even when we're stuck at home. Of course, we can do all kinds of online marketing, but that good old-fashioned phone call is priceless. So now you have a service or a program on your website called 100 Days to Abundance. Yeah. So tell us, what is day one? I'm assuming you give them tasks 100 different tasks every day? I mean, one task every day for
Oh
100 days?
no, well, I guess I could revise it. 100 Days to Abundance is really it's a, it's a program to put people on a track that will keep them doing these everyday easy activities that I talked about earlier. Some of it is pretty basic stuff that people don't do. They either don't know how to do it, or they forgot about it, or they think it's beneath them, right? So it's a great program for startups if they're just kind of trying to get out of that corporate mindset and figure out what to do. But I've had many people, I've done that program for years and years and years. We tune it up a little bit, but the basics are there. I've had people say, oh, this is really the fundamentals. I'm like, mm-hmm.
I love that you spoke about the shift in mindset, because when you're sitting in a corporate office, money's coming into the company probably from multiple angles, right? But when you leave and you said you're spending your own money, you have to take action every day for revenue generating activities. Sometimes I'll find myself working for hours on something that's nice and great, but it's not going to actually generate money. So I love that the
Right,
tasks that you have, get them to take action, the things that they need to do, because that money's got to keep coming in every day, right?
right. One of the things that I really value about the kind of work I do and the people I work with is the collaborative nature of it, at least in my practice. The people that come to work with me are collaborative by nature. They want to help somebody, even if they're an accountant or they're, sorry to all the accountants, don't take offense, but even if they don't look like, even if they're not in a helping therapeutic profession, right? Let me put it that way. They want to help their clients. They want to help other people. And so I like to work in a realm of strategic collaboration, I call it. So people sometimes talk about outsourcing tasks that you don't want to do. I did that last night. I was working on a technical thing that I sort of knew the steps, but I outdated in my technology of it, right? And I was just getting more and more frustrated. And I picked up the phone at 6:30 and called one of my clients who is actually a website designer. And I said, how long would it take you to do this? And he said, when do you want it? I said, 6 in the morning. He laughed. But, he's going to do it. It's not that big a thing. I'm going to pay him. And we have a strategic collaboration. I just referred him this morning to one of my long-term friends, because he asked me while I was begging him to help me last night if I knew anybody who, and I did. So I love that. I love working that way. I'm a sole proprietor and I teach teamwork. So I need a team. And I build that team for myself and for my clients. If you read Formerly Corporate, you'll see that I talk about starburst businesses. And those are businesses where your network is not just one way out. I hired the person on Fiverr to do this thing for me and I'll never talk to them again. It's working with people who are going to bring business back to you in a long-term way. And I've been doing this a long time, and I have teams of people that are still working together that are, haven't written me a check in 10 years. But one of them called me up yesterday. So I love that. I love building this community. I love helping people figure out how to help each other. And, and I feel like I still need to pay the rent and all that. So I do need money. I can't just exude love all the time. But it's a very satisfying way to live your life.
And that's a really great point. I think a lot of entrepreneurs make the mistake of thinking they have to do all of the tasks themselves. But building a team, whether it's a full-time employee or just outsourcing tasks, is really a different mindset that I think is really helpful and will help the company, the little business, to grow much faster, because you honestly can't do it all. There aren't enough hours in the day.
And even if there were, you're not good at most of it. So
That's
you
true.
should find the people that are good at what you are not good at and love to do what you hate to do, and let them love to do it and pay them. And it will
Exactly.
come back to you.
Exactly. Now, before we go, tell us about your other book that you wrote.
Well, my other book is called Finish Your Book. And I wrote it in collaboration with a long-term client of mine, who we actually built that Starburst business model around, because she didn't want to have an organization. So one day I leaped up to my flip chart and said, you already have an organization. Look at this. You have the editors and the copy editors and the proofreaders and the this and the that and the graphic designer and the book. You know, you have an organization. You just don't have full-time employees. And everybody, including me, we all just went, whoa. So anyway, she wrote a series of books, like Start Your Book, Finish Your Book, Market Your Book. And Karen Hodges Miller is her name. I always love to shout out to her. But she invited me to co-author Finish Your Book with her, because she said, I was writing it and I realized that everything I was saying about managing time, I was just channeling what you taught me. So I might as well put your name on the cover.
Oh.
And yeah, that was a really sweet moment. So we wrote that together, and I jumped on it because now she was my writing coach, right? And it was a great. I developed a process to write, and when she told me that manuscript was finished, which surprised me because I thought I was going to have to write it 100 times over, then I took that process I developed and went right into finishing Formerly Corporate, which I had outlined, but I hadn't actually really started to write. So that's a thing. But Finish Your Book is great, I have to say. Look, there is it's available on Amazon. I had an excerpt out there.
I'm putting the link up above.
Okay, great. They're both available on Amazon. We'd love you to have them.
Well, so because we have a lot of authors and wannabe authors that watch this channel, give us one solid tip to help them finish their book.
Find your own process, and then don't mess around with it anymore. And I have to elaborate on that a little bit, because I tried to find a process. I thought I would write, Wednesday afternoons at 2:00. That seemed like a good time. Put that in my calendar. I never sat down and wrote a word on Wednesday afternoon at 2:00. Life was just already rolling. In that work I did with Karen, this is my process, right? I just, because I'm not a full-time author and I didn't intend to be, I just wanted to finish the book. So I wrote first thing in the morning before anybody else got up. I got my coffee, I went to the computer, I sat there. I either wrote, I forget now, but a certain number of words or a certain period of time, like an hour and a half or 500 words. And then, then I had done it, right? There's a great satisfaction in doing the thing that you really need to do every day, and then it's done, and then you can go on. So different people have different time, night owls and early birds and all that stuff. That's what worked for me, but I did not deviate from it. That was the key. Find something so that you're actually putting words on a page, and just keep doing that until you think you're done or somebody tells you that you're done. That might not be the same time.
That's
And
really
get
great
somebody
advice.
to help you. Find an editor, find a copy editor, an independent publisher. Trina, for instance, because that is part of the many, many facets to her Starburst business. Yeah, it's huge because you won't know when you're done. I mean, you won't know. You don't know. You're too close to it. So you need somebody to say, okay, we're going to take that to the editing process now. I'm like, what? It was wonderful. It was a wonderful experience. I really had a great time. I may never do it again.
But you did it twice. That's awesome.
Fun.
Well, thank you,
Twice.
Lorette. Yeah, thank you for
Thank you
spending
so
a few
much,
minutes with
Trina.
us. Everybody, be sure and subscribe to this channel. Ring the little bell next to the subscribe button, and that will notify you every time I upload a new video. Be sure and comment below, like it, you know all of the drill, and click down below to get, not click, but in the description is a link so you can get Loretta's free gift, as well as it's written on the screen there below. And if you need help coaching, I mean, if you need help writing your book and getting it to market and marketing your book, that's what I'm here for. I coach great strategy to help get your book to become bestseller. So again, Lorette, thank you so much. And thank you for your gift and your time and your wisdom.
And thank you for the invitation. This was really fun. It's just fun. I love to talk about business.
Yeah, I do too. All right. Well, good luck in this quarantine world, and I will catch you online.